All right. Looks like we're currently live again. We're going to post a stream announcement on Twitter, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Alright, I'm going to switch layouts to the drawing stream layout and we'll kick things off. Alright, I think we're good to go with the drawing stream layout. I think I should probably put a placeholder message here for the start of the stream. Today's stream is going to be a little bit different from some of the other ones we've done because I'm going to be doing some experimenting with the tools in Clip Studio Paint. I mentioned before that I wanted to check out their 3D model and pose manipulator feature that they have, something I didn't even know about in the software until recently. But before I do that, let's see if we can create a BGM for us to use. I have my loop station set up over here, so I'm going to try and create a beat relatively quick. And then we'll loop that in the background as we proceed with the actual drawing stream. I did figure out how to use a new feature or new sound type. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to incorporate it on the fly here today. I might try. I was kicking around some ideas earlier about how I wanted to set the beat up for today. But let's see. Let me check sound settings. Bruh. Okay, bruh button's working. The last time we did sort of a more mid-tempo BGM track. Maybe this time we can do something kind of maybe a little bit faster. I'm just thinking in my head what kind of combinations of drum sounds I want to use for the main beat. We could do something with BGMs since we haven't done that in a while. So let's see, maybe we could do something like a and that might be a little similar to some of the other stuff we've done. If we switch up the kicks and do something like that. So I'm going to try and record it and see what it sounds like. Yeah, that could work. You just need to have it loop. Maybe I'll switch it from a triple to a double. That'll make it a little bit easier. I think that'll do. I just need to get it to finish a little more on beat, and then it'll loop. Oh, too late. We were experimenting on yesterday's jam stream with hat runs and how the beat scatter and other track effects can create some interesting things when you've just got a hi-hat run. So I think I want to do that for this one again because it'll allow us to switch up things in the beat pretty easily. I'm going to drop this down a little bit. Then I'll rebalance it once we create the rest of the tracks. What if we added an eighth note hat run? Maybe a quarter note? That could work. That could work. I think I did it too fast. Let me try and slow it down, sync it up with the beat a little bit. Get it to loop. That's still cutting it off too early. Maybe I can go quarter notes. That might be why the rhythm sounds a little bit off. It sounds like a sprinkler when I put the scatter effect on. All right. Well, I'm gonna come back to the hats. I might take them off. Seems like it gets out of sync after a while. Oh, how would I know why? I'll bet it's because of the sync since I turned it off. Try and record that. I'm going to drop the hats for now. Let's just go on, move on to a bass line. Thinking maybe a 1 or 2, maybe 3 note bass at the most, just to keep it kind of simple. All right, we have guitar to bass. The rhythm. And make sure I nail the first note. All right, I think that's functional for those first two tracks. I want to check something, and I'm going to try and put one more thing down, and then we'll get started. All right, I think everything's synced up right. I'm gonna try and add one additional track effect. So this will be a 3-layer track. All right. That kind of metallic sound I added to the snare on a separate track is something you can do with granular delay, which I'm going to be working on more in future tracks. It creates a really neat effect if you do snare sounds into it. All right, I'm gonna leave the BGM about there, and that should be good for everything else. Now we can get on to the actual drawing part here. So in tinkering around with Clip Studio Paint, I was able to figure out where the 3D model stuff is. And today's drawing stream is going to, like I said, be a bit more of an experiment in looking at the tools that the software includes when it comes to working with these 3D models. And it looks like they're all categorized under the Material tab, which you can see over here. And they even have two-dimensional character models, which this I haven't looked at this. I'm just looking at what's listed under the menu here, which is interesting. These are all pre-drawn and pre-rendered, I believe. And they have some presets for actual poses that people have created, sort of like stock poses that you can just load in and they'll look exactly like the thumbnail here. I did look at those a little bit, but I want to work with a neutral pose and just experiment with how the software allows you to do things like track camera, change the orientation of limbs and body position, just so I can get a feel for how to do that. And so we'll start with the male model, and I'll experiment with both genders here. By dragging the model thing over to the main window, it loads in the 3D model, and it looks like it sizes it to the canvas. And this gives me camera controls. Up here at the top, it might be hard to see in the window, but there's a series of buttons on the top with camera icons, and it allows me to manipulate the 3D plane that the model is essentially standing on. But what I want to see, where's zoom? There it is. And this is just dragging inwards and outwards to basically scale the pose how I want. And I wonder if it, yep, keeps track of it just like it would for all the other commands, so I can do and undo. Hey, Edward. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, what I thought about doing, just because it'd be funny, would be to do the meme T-pose dominance shot. With like 3 of these things standing around a person crouched on the ground. Maybe we can get there later. I think that'd be pretty funny. We'll go ahead and work with a couple set angles so I can kind of demonstrate in the brief time I've tinkered around with this feature how you can control different parts of the model. So let's try and get kind of neutral head-on pose. And this is a really neat tool that I don't think I've ever seen in another piece of drawing software in that it kind of functions like a rigged 3D model in a modeling program that has a skeleton. So these different sections you can see me highlighting with my cursor are all different articulation points. So by clicking here, I can move the arm in different ways, and it kind of pulls on the model differently. Like if I wanted to just have the arm pitched down like that without tilting the model side to side, I can just kind of grab it and pull it. This big circular menu prompt that appears around whatever section you're working on is your rotation. So by moving along this yellow axis here, it's giving me the ability to rotate the model forward. So if we were to track around to the side, now we've got something like this. And if I move down to the wrist, I can twist the hand like that. And the tricky thing is trying to think in 3 dimensions when it comes to the articulation points and how you want to rotate stuff. What I'm trying to figure out is where the articulation point is that's going to rotate the arm so that the hand is facing up. But technically I could do that from the wrist articulation point too. Like so. Now the hand is rotated up. Edward says, "Bruh, what if someone made a VTuber with this program?" You could probably, I don't know, because these are preset models that are loaded in, and they're not, as far as I can tell, using any sort of coding when it comes to how the software is corresponding to the movements and kind of like a rig would work. But I imagine if you could find a way to load in a fully constructed 3D model in something like was it Vroid or that one 3D software people used to create 3D VTuber rigs? If you can load that in there and have it sort of basically capture different frame animations, that could be something that you could do. Since the way I understand in VTuber rigging works, specifically for Live 2D, since that's what I use, they have a basic 3D mesh that's applied to all the different components of a 2-dimensional model, and then they animate the different frames, and they're basically creating like keyframes for movement that correspond to different actions or different set animations. So it makes me wonder if you could do something like that with this. It would be an interesting experiment to see. I have a degree of rotation with the wrist, but if I rotate it too much, it sort of twists, kind of like a balloon. Let's see. There's shoulder rotation. That would be how I'd essentially reposition the arm. Let me zoom in here. One thing I wanted to take a look at is the articulation points on hands. Edward, did you post? Is that loading thing an actual emoji? I don't think I've ever seen that before. let's take a look at the features we've got on the hands. Like I've mentioned many times on stream when I've been trying to draw things, for me specifically, hands are the most difficult feature to draw, especially when it comes to humanoid type drawings. But with this feature of the model, and there's actually a section for hands specifically, which is really neat. You can basically pull in a model of a hand and you can manipulate it however you want. But the fact that you can take the digits and individually move them around, we can rotate them at different angles. I think the articulation points at the actual joints is where you can bend them. Like so. Oh, okay. I got you right. I assume that's what the emoji means. I'm not getting any diagnostic issues from the YouTube readout, and in OBS it says that I'm not dropping any frames, which is usually a sign that my connection is being weird if it starts dropping frames out of the blue. So you might try and reload the page for the stream and see if it fixes the lag. If it doesn't, let me know and I'll take a look. But as far as I can tell, my connection's not being weird today. Otherwise, I'd see it in OBS, and everything there is green. But let me know if it continues to be a problem after you try and just reload the page. Well, you can really go at weird angles with the digits. Where is it? Come on. Well, it's not perfect. But if I really wanted to make a really inappropriate gesture with the model, I think I'd have to manipulate the digits and fold them in a little bit more so it's like a closed fist. But if you wanted to do that, you can. Alright, let's see what we can do with this other arm. I kind of want to work on creating some poses that I could potentially use for character sketching. Alright, looks like there's a limit to the rotation on the ankle. I would have to rotate from the knee or the lower leg, maybe? Let's see. I'm trying to get it to turn out a little bit to the side. There we go. Got a degree of movement on the head too. Something I haven't really messed around with. If we click the head, looks like we have horizontal, vertical rotation. Yeah, here's the horizontal. Side profile, kind of looking towards the camera. 3/4. Up. And the kind of neat thing about this software is it has mesh lines, probably for how the 3D models are created, but you can also use them as guiding lines too. Like, let me see if I can get on a new layer. Okay, doesn't. Oh. You can adjust the transparency as well. That is super convenient. What I've done is I've stuck the model on another layer, and now I'm just in a regular drawing layer. So if I wanted to, let's say, Edward says, you know, the peace pose. I feel like that's something you see in like a lot of anime and stuff. Is that from something specifically, Edward? So if I wanted to do something like sketch out a character's face from an angle that I wouldn't normally use, because I'm really bad at dynamic angles when it comes to stuff like this. But using this particular model, it gives me guidelines for different parts of the model, so I could totally do that. And I could even do like if I wanted to do like a bust render of something and just draw everything from here, then I have an angle that's set that I can use to capture that, which is super handy. Edward Manfred says the scene that comes to mind is from Euphoria. I've heard of Euphoria. If I remember correctly, that's a family-friendly show. Alright, let me see how I get the model controls to come back up. Got the commands. How do we get the command prompt to show up? I wonder if it's a separate menu in Clip Studio. Let me see. Okay, I can rasterize it, and that probably means I won't be able to edit it anymore. Let's see. Movement. Material properties. I know when I was looking up how to even pull this material menu up on the side, there was a way to reactivate that camera set of prompts before it essentially sets the model on your canvas. But I don't know how you do that. Maybe I can look it up. There's my keyboard. All right, 1 second. I'm taking a look on the Clip Studio site to see if they explain the command. Let's see. Worst comes to worst, I can just pull in a new model. That's not a big deal. This one that I was messing around with before is mostly just a sample. Is that it? Oh, that's the ruler. I can't find this in the next second or so, I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'll just reload a new model and we'll experiment with different poses, since that's what I was going to do anyway. Yeah, this is just the directory. Okay. I will try and figure out how to do that later. Alright, let's see what else we can do here. I think I'll put the next one on a different layer. We'll hide the first one. The female model is... Editor says try doing the Slav squat at some point. I think that one's actually one of the set poses in here. I saw someone had that on the 3D Studio site. You can download poses that people have created using this feature, and they just upload it as like a free asset to use. I've seen one that's like the bent over squat. I don't know if it's in the stock list here, but I saw it on the site. It actually looked pretty decent. This one's kind of close. Let me move this one over. There's a lot of preset poses that people have in the directory, and this just came loaded in here with the software. Let me go back up. Oh, where to go? Take a note one is kind of similar. Well, I don't think I want to put these on the same object layer, but if we wanted to do that one, we could. We'll keep working with this one for now. Oh, now the controls are back. Okay. Oh, is it this? Object properties? Okay, I never used that particular menu. That's where it is. Okay. That must be for external assets. Alright, the female model proportions are pretty similar to the male one. A little bit different. A little different as far as the features go. But that's fine. They don't really necessarily need to be that distinct. It's more about the actual orientation of the body itself. Well, let's see. I'll try and get a... Oh, I can just rotate it straight up too. If you ever want to do a drawing that's someone straight up planking, then you can do that. Oh, that's almost just completely free movement when you're pulling the articulation points versus when you're using the rotation commands on the different articulation points. And the model itself has kind of a bit of bend to it, but it starts to get weird if you pull it at too sharp of an angle. Oh, you can move the toes all as a set, or you can move them individually, I assume. Probably have to zoom in a lot closer. Well, maybe not. Maybe they're one solid piece. That's probably fine. Let's see, maybe we can try and rotate the arm a little bit further down. That's kind of an interesting position just based on the legs. Kind of like someone is either falling forward or like flying through the air. We can move the legs a little bit closer together. That's pretty interesting. I think the arm is still a little bit too stiff. Maybe we could try to pull the body forward a little bit. And I like the way it kind of pinches when the body bends, the different limbs or appendages they bend. The model mesh itself sort of pinches to give it that realistic look. See what we can do with the head positioning. Basically, you can have the model's head follow the camera, whichever angle you want it to render at. If you wanted to do a step on me pose, you could do it. I do think it's interesting that it has shading as well. I think there's a way to set up camera lighting around the models if you want to see where shadows fall. If you're doing primary sketches or just basic poses, that's probably not going to be as useful. But given this whole thing operates in a 3D space, it is interesting. What does this do? Oh. This is rotation. Vertical and vertical rotation, yeah. This one's horizontal rotation. Yep. This one. Oh, this is like a zoom. All right. And this is just pan controls. Edward says, bro, getting stepped on, well, getting falled on. That's right. I'm sure there's a niche interest group of people who want to be body slammed as opposed to just stepped on. And that's okay. We do not kink shame here on this channel. What I foresee this tool being useful for my own work, in addition to doing things like maybe getting some less static poses for concept work, I've started talking to some Okay, stop doing that. So I've started talking to artists for commission work for stuff here on the channel. And when it comes to ideas for how I want to set things up or what kind of shot or, let's say, drawing that I want to propose for the commissioner, rather than try and describe it in text or using stick figures or something. If I have a scene idea for something that I want to commission, I can use these pose models to set up kind of like a rough approximation of a scene that I'm thinking, and tell the artist, all right, this is what I'm kind of thinking for the character's pose, or what I want to have the character doing. And then they'll have an idea of how to work off of some of the basic structure or kind of rudimentary components for my idea, and then you could build from there. And I think that's super useful. Obviously, if I was able to construct all this stuff and do it myself, I would not be talking to another artist for commissions. But when it comes to setting up scenes and saying, okay, I'd like to do something with this character and I want to have them doing a certain action, I can kind of approximate that using these models and set things up that way. And that's a very powerful tool. So once again, I've been using Clip Studio for years, just for inking and coloring and the stuff that you've seen me do here on stream. I did not know that this function was here, and it's been in the software for at least 2 years, I think. If it wasn't for the folks on the Drawfee Art channel, I would never have realized that Clip Studio can do this, and it's super handy. So once again, shout out to the Drawfee folks for highlighting this feature in some of their videos. It's really neat, and honestly, I could sit here and play with models all day. I wonder how easy it is to do a folded arm pose, kind of like arms crossed. That's always kind of a challenge to draw. Oh, looks like they already have that in here, actually. Let's see what the model looks like if we load it in. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. That's a very attitude-filled pose right there. I think it's the kind of wide stance in addition to the folded arms. It gives it kind of that imposing look. That's pretty good. That's better than I could do if I was just messing around with the program. I think that one has even more attitude. The sideways lean with the arms folded. Yeah, Edward says, sorry, buddy, you can't go back there. That was the initial pose. This one is like This one right here is like, are you wasting my time? There's a lot of attitude there. I actually kind of like that one. What I'm realizing, just based on the tools and how these models behave and can be customized, this is essentially a JoJo simulator. I know one thing that JoJo's notorious for, as a longtime fan of the series, is the really eccentric and crazy poses the characters always make. For Araki's work, that's one of his signature things, right? All of the poses. Well, I don't think it'd be that difficult to come up with crazy poses if you're using tools like this, which is pretty neat and pretty powerful. I don't think that's something I personally would do for my art style, but if I wanted to draw like a JoJo-esque scene or set of characters, and I didn't want to feel like either doing real person modeling or using like a freestanding physical model, all I have to do is load up one of these here and then start manipulating the different positions, and you know, you get your JoJo poses that way, which is pretty neat. Edward says, do the Dio re-pose. That'd be like a wide stance, leaning back with the arms out, palms up, right? Let's see. Where's our first male model? Let's see if we can do it. And go back to male model. We'll drop a new one in here. This will be good practice to teach me how to use the model manipulation stuff. So if I remember correctly, that pose is going to be a little bit more wide. I'll do try and do the legs first. We'll do it in components here. I'm going to try and recreate it to the best of my knowledge without looking at a reference first. I think I'm gonna have to swing the legs forward. Oh, come on. Yeah, kind of like that. I'll have to rotate them down so that they're a bit more planted. It's too bad Wazi's not here. As a big JoJo fan, I know she'd get a kick out of this. Okay, this is close as far as the legs go. I think I'm going to have to mess around with the way they're planted a little bit. Whoop, no, let's not do that. We're going to have to move the body back for sure. Kind of has his arms down and bent, but the palms are going to be up, right? They're kind of like upwards facing. rotation on the arm. You do it from the shoulder? Yes. You do it from the shoulder and then rotate the wrist a little bit. I won't worry about the hands till the very end. I don't want to torque the body like that. I know I got to get like a really good lean back on here, but I want to get the arms in position first, and then I'll worry about the kind of the way the body's going. Because if I remember, at least from like the old days from part 3, like when he was in the Capcom fighting game, that pose of his, he's leaned way back. Definitely want to bend that way. It's actually kind of a challenge to do with the stylus. If I didn't have my camera set up, well, maybe I can do this with a mouse. It's too bad there's no mirror command. I have to do this manually. There we go. All right. Let's see if we can get the hands up, kind of bent in. No, not quite yet. Now we can kind of see if we can get the torso to go back a little bit. Is he squatting more? Oops, nope. Don't do that. Oh, I can change the tone of things just by using the mouse wheel. Or is that the tone or is that the rotation? Oh, it's the rotation. All right. I thought it was changing the actual width of the mesh. Yeah, okay. You can rotate with mouse wheel. Well, that would have been good to know. Edward says if he looks like he can actually stand like that, then he's not horizontal enough. Yeah, I know that he needs to be bent further back. I think I may have skewed the legs a little bit. Let me see if I can fix that. There we go. Looks like there's a limit to how far back I can pull the torso. I wonder if there's a... Oh, this is the... What is that? It's kind of the angle of the chest. Yeah, this is actually manipulating the parts of the mesh itself. Okay, that's definitely not what we want. Back here. What I want is vertical rotation. There we go. Just to have it tilted back a little bit more. And if we assume the floor is just directly below him, I'm going to try and rotate the feet and then the legs so that it'd be like he's actually planted on the floor, like so. Let's rotate this up. Now it looks like he's reclining in a seat. All right, where's the actual pose? Oh, look at that first result. Okay, the one that comes up is from the video game. That's the one I was thinking of where it's really low. But he has kind of a more leg spread stance than I would have expected. It's almost more like this. It's like a 3/4 profile, so you can't really see. But it's kind of like this, and his arms are down a lot lower. And they're not palms up, they're palms kind of tilted forward and out. Let's see if I can get the arm down there. That's actually not... It's not too far from what I'm seeing in the thumbnail here. Kind of like that. The other arm is out to the side. It's kind of hard to see. And head is kind of cocked at an angle. Let me see if I can copy this image and drop it into the canvas so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Let's delete that black border. This is from the Capcom fighting game. When I think of the Dio-Ri pose, this is what I think of. Texas speech voice. I-Y-Y-Y-Y-Y-Y. I think you'd have to do it with ease if you wanted to actually have the right sound. Edward says, I've only played Eyes of Heaven. I've played the fighting game. This old fighting game that the sprite comes from. Which you see in videos and Mugen footage, and people were importing the sprite into that fighting engine. I've never played, was it All-Star Battle, the 3D one? I heard it was kind of buggy and busted, but it looked cool. Dio down there. Maybe I can tweak the pose a little bit and try and get closer. Real quick, I'm gonna go refill my water bottle. I'll be back in a sec. Alright. My model was going crazy for a second there. I wonder if it was because of the camera getting confused when I stepped out of frame that time. Edward says, don't order at me or my son ever again. Yeah, this definitely gives off strong parental vibes. The sprite work in that old two-dimensional fighting game that Capcom did is really neat. It's a shame it wasn't more popular. It was a pretty cool game. Stick this one over here. Edward says it looked like you were vibing to the BGM while getting water. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen VTube Studio do that. I've seen it like cut the entire model off at the head and shift the camera up, and I've seen it shifted off to the side, but I've never seen it cycle like that. It looked like it was going in and out, like getting closer and farther away, which is amusing, I guess. Alright, let's try and arrange the poses we've got here. Now that I know how to re-enable camera controls, do that. Actually, if anything, the progression should be like this. Yeah, the peace sign one, then sort of the stepping one. It doesn't look like the model's jumping or falling from this particular angle. And then you have the come at me bro over here. Apparently Clip Studio can do animation as well. I think I mentioned a couple times when we were talking on these drawing streams. One of my favorite artists is a dude named Plague of Gripes, and he's an animator and artist, and he creates some really cool stuff. But he works in the animation software Toon Boom, and recently he's been trying out Clip Studio for animations, but I don't think he's put one out yet. I think one of his upcoming projects is going to be an animation created using this program, and I don't know if he typically does tutorials. Maybe he will after he's gotten familiar with it, but I wouldn't mind learning how that animation process works in this software. I was talking to Wazi not too long ago, since she's an animator and she uses a really old version of Flash. And I know a lot of artists online and animators, especially back in the Newgrounds heydays, were using Flash for their animations. And then Toon Boom came out, which was a bit more modernized. People have been using that. And it sounds like people are getting into using Clip Studio for animation as well. So I may see if I can find some resources to learn how that process works at some point. Because it'd be kind of interesting to get into animation. It's rather difficult. I do know that. Let's put this one in front. You know, if I scale this down a little bit, we've essentially created a Power Rangers type scene here with all these different character poses. Let's see. Edward says Flash, huh? Now that's a name I haven't heard in a while. Well, it was a couple years ago now. They kind of discontinued development on Flash, and its web support for its original applications was web programming, I believe, and then they just stopped, and like Flash functionality on sites was going away. So as far as I know, they're not doing any more iterations of the original Flash. I think the thing that Adobe moved to, Flash is Adobe, right? It's now Animate. That's their animation software, and I've heard mixed things about that. For people that were using the old school Flash back in the day for like web cartoons, apparently it's not as smooth a transition to that new platform for Animate. I've heard a lot of people complain about it, but a lot of fairly well-known artists got their start animating in Flash. Pretty much anyone you saw on Newgrounds, people like Stamper or Ego Raptor or Psychic Pebbles or Oni, a lot of those guys have been around forever. They, as far as I know, they probably still do use Flash for their animation work, but the program itself is no longer supported because they moved to that Animate platform. I know Wazzy was saying she uses an ancient version and that she never updated, and that's how she does all of her animations. But it is interesting. People are still using that software. I wonder if that's what they use for Friday Night Funkin'. It has a very Flash cartoon look, which is, I think, the aesthetic they were going for there. But I wonder what they use to do all the animations for that. Alright, we'll save this. I'm gonna try and import another female model and see if I can get a good neutral standing pose that I might be able to use in the future for concept work. Specifically, I want to focus on the hand positioning. Start with 3/4. Maybe I'll stick to using my mouse for this. Stylus is not impossible, but because I have to get really close to some of those rotation points, it's easy to miss. See if we can get a bit more of a natural bend on the arm. That's a little bit too far in. see, for the other arm, I think I'm wanting to position this just kind of also down. Actually, maybe we can go, I got a better idea. Since that's pretty much the pose I always draw when I'm doing concept work. What if we had it going out? Let's keep the body, the model's posture kind of straight up, not leaning to one side. Maybe do something like that. Maybe spread the fingers out a little bit. There we go. Hey, what's up, Penguin Party? Welcome to the stream. We're experimenting around with the 3D model and pose feature in Clip Studio, and also talking about JoJo, apparently. Okay, there we go. I think it's a bit more of a natural bend. I do like we showed before with the software. I like the amount of options you have for head movement. If I was doing a concept sketch, kind of like what I've done in the past, I would probably do something like this particular 3/4 angle, more or less facing or head on with the camera, not facing the camera itself. Maybe something like that. But the fact that you have so much movement over which direction the face is pointing is super useful. Not necessarily for a kind of neutral concept sketch, but like I was demonstrating earlier, if I wanted to get like a really unusual angle, like from the ground up, I could do that. Likewise, if I wanted to have a top-down angle, sort of with the camera pointing downwards at the model, it's a matter of just reorienting everything and getting it to face that way, which is also useful. I don't know how often you'd be drawing from that angle, but you could. And one thing I don't normally do in my concept sketches is drawing of the back of the character. Now it's just a matter of repositioning the camera, and then you can get all of the details using the exact same pose too, which is also kind of a neat feature. reset to where I was looking at earlier. What I'd really like to do is rotate that further down. Slap animation. This is the where's my money. Let's see. If I get this to rotate down just a hair. Maybe not. Oh, that might do. Get something like that. I think that this particular angle is pretty close to what I normally use for concept sketches. Actually, maybe what we can do for the exercise here, and this will be a good thing to use in the future. Edward says, holy meaning of beats per minute. That's right. We're measuring in slaps per minute instead. Maybe what I can do here for future reference, and I don't know if anyone else really wants these as reference sheets, but if they do, then maybe I can put them online. I'm going to do a 3 perspective reference sheet for the model. And the way we'll do that is by putting 3 in here. Oh no, I don't want them on the same layer. Turn the ruler off. There we go. We'll do 3/4. Straight on, front facing, and then side profile. Doesn't need to be completely symmetrical. I'm going to try and get close, just so it's consistent. All right, here's front view. And then I will pull one in and we'll do side profile. Edward asks, can you copy paste a thing? You mean like duplicate the layers and put multiple of the same? Yeah, that's pretty easy to do. Like if I wanted to, let's see, I'll hide you for a second. If I wanted to copy paste this one and just duplicate it, I could do that pretty easily, and then I can manipulate it or whatever. The way I would probably use this if I was doing an actual character sketch is I would have the bases laid out as a template, and then I would do my sketches on top of them as separate layers, and then I would draw out the characters in sequence. That might be a good experiment for a future stream since I've never done that before. But as far as copying the models, yeah, you can copy them all day long. That's pretty easy to do. This one we want side profile. So if we do that, that's the position we want. Actually, I think I know why you asked that, Edward. If we use our powers of problem solving, we can just take the side one, or the front one, and rotate it sideways. I don't have to recreate the wheel every time. Transformation skills work too. Probably not, because these are unique objects. Yeah, I don't think I can scale it. Let's see. Yeah, I have to go into the object properties and change the camera to scale it. That's a bit more of a side shot. It's not exact because you can still see the other foot. It's not completely in profile, but yeah, that would work. And we could even do a backwards facing one if we wanted. If I was doing something like a 3D model, or commissioning a 3D model and I wanted to show all the different angles, I'd have to do probably a front back, which would just be a mirror version of this one right here. All right, let's take a look at our overall canvas or reference sheet. The ability to manipulate the poses this easily is such a powerful tool. I'm very upset that I didn't realize Clip Studio had this feature, or I would have been working with this for a long time. I probably would be a lot better of an artist now. But that's okay. I guess what we could do, let me move these together. I'm going to start organizing this particular file. Let's create a set of poses for the male figure too. That way if I need to reference these later, I'll have it all in one spot. We'll call this F for female. Drop in the male model. I think I'll do this a similar 3/4 perspective, but I'll have it facing the other direction just to switch things up a little bit. That should be fine. I'll get some more natural bend to the arm in a sec. Maybe rotate the foot out a little bit. Looks like the ankle's broken there. That's not what we want. Yeah, that's a little bit closer. Hand rotated into place. I think the arm might be tucked too far in now. I think that'll do. Maybe I'll zoom it out a little bit so it's not quite as big. If we're doing 3/4 for a concept sketch, then that would probably be fine. We could play around with the camera angles a bit just to see which perspective we're looking at, but for something neutral, it's going to show a lot of character detail and design elements. I think that's fine the way it is right there. And then we can do a new layer. Front facing. I'm copying in the base T-pose one just because it has the default stance and I'll have to readjust the feet at all if I use this. Go ahead on like so. Semi T-posing, that's fine for a front view. That's pretty common in character reference sheets. Scale it up a little. Doesn't need to be too much different, just to be kind of close in height. And then like we did on the other one, I I will duplicate this and then just flip the camera to the side. Whoops. And then that should do it for the different angles on the male model too. It's very simple and convenient. We'll put this in its own folder. Call this M. What I could do as sort of a wrap up for today's stream is try messing around with sketching a primary using these as a base, like we've done for our previous pieces and drawings here on stream. I'll usually do the primary but create the whole pose and everything from scratch. But it might be not a bad exercise to try and do that with these poses. So let's see. We could try and use the male one. Okay, I can collapse that, which is nice if I'm not actively adding stuff. And I can just hide it and give myself more screen space. But I won't do any sort of fully realized sketches or anything as part of the exercise here today. But what I will do is just see what happens if I try and sketch stuff along with essentially the guidelines of the pose base. So let's grab a good neutral color for sketching purposes. I'll just sort of go through the motions of the exercise if I was doing a character sketch from the ground up. You can adjust things like the proportions, since I don't necessarily need to follow the proportions of the pose model. It's really more for the positioning and everything else. But these are pretty anatomically balanced proportions in these models. They may be a little bit exaggerated because I think they were designed to be kind of like anime character models. But just in general, it's not a bad start. They're not too out of whack. legs might be a little bit longer than I'm used to drawing. Hand positioning, well, not necessarily a factor on this model that I'm using here, but if I want to do something like a character holding an object or picking something up or holding a weapon or something like that, being able to mess around with the hand orientation and whatnot would be super useful. I think based on the model, kind of looks like the character's leaning a bit forward, but I can fix that just by rotating. And that's not too big a deal. Does look like the torso's a bit on the long side, though. Legs, the way they're roughed in, I think the legs are fine. They're a bit on the long side, but not distractingly long. Maybe I could shorten them up by like a tenth or so. But for the body, I'm going to try and collapse the body in a little bit. Depending on the type of character we were going for, if this is going to be a fully fleshed out drawing, I'd want to decide if this character is going to be heavily built or more kind of slim in build, more slender. Depending on how we wanted to have the face angled. We put our guidelines here. Maybe have eyes like that. This is 3/4 looking that way. It's pretty common. It's a pose that I usually default to when doing character concept stuff. The overall arm builds and kind of definition would definitely be tailored towards, again, the build and what type of character I'm drawing here. But using the 3D pose model base as a reference does give us a pretty good starting point for drawing positions. Again, if I was doing this one completely from scratch, it probably wouldn't look very similar to this as far as the orientation goes. But if I wanted to do something a little bit more complicated, let's say I wanted to do a fight scene, which I've never done, but something with two characters interacting, and let's just say they're socking each other in the face, then being able to take those two models and get the positioning right in the 3D modeler and get everything sort of set up on the canvas perspective-wise, camera-wise, and positioning-wise, then all I have to do is sketch in the actual characters using a tool like we've done here, and then add in all the details and then draw them in. I wouldn't have to experiment around with the poses themselves because they'd be set. I can get everything locked in using the features of the software. And that's a very powerful tool. And I'm going to be very interested to mess around with it some more and start incorporating that into the drawing process. Nothing else that'll help me get better at drawing hands. This. We'll zoom out and we will start wrapping up for the day. As far as what I wanted to cover on today's drawing stream, this was, like I mentioned towards the beginning, meant to be a bit more of an experiment using the functions of Clip Studio Paint. A function that, again, I'm still learning about because I didn't even know it was part of the software's function. But what I'll do offline is continue to mess around with the pose creators and see what I can make. If people would be interested in seeing reference sheets for some of these poses, then I can always put them up online. That way people, if they wanted to download and use them for resources that they want to draw based off of or use them as bases themselves, I'd be fine with that. I don't own the actual assets. They're part of the software. But I definitely think it'll be a handy tool. Next time we get together for a drawing stream, I'll have to think about what I want to do. We're getting close to finishing the first set of fusions in the Monster Hunter Fusion project, so I would like to finish the first set so that we can get the whole fusion diagram laid out and maybe do sort of like a wrap up once all of the different creatures are done. Last time when I was on stream, I sketched out a primary for the third of the three. I decided to redo redo the first one since it was so old. The next drawing stream where we work on the Monster Hunter fusions will be drawing, inking and rendering and coloring, shading and whatnot, that third creature, and then we'll get to work on the final mega fusion of everything. And then once that's done, we'll see where that project goes. I wouldn't mind starting another one that we can work on and off stream. But I think we'll go ahead and jump off for today. Thanks again to the folks that stopped by and peeked in to hang out while I was working on all these pose experiments. I probably won't do these types of streams terribly often unless there's a specific feature of my software that I want to experiment around with and show off. But because we've been working on or talking about this feature, I wanted to spend some time today to tinker around with it in real time and understand it a little bit more and give you guys a glimpse into some of the things that this drawing software can do. Apparently it's a lot more powerful than a lot of us realized. Looking at comments online, I found that I wasn't the only one who never knew that this feature existed. Because when it was Manga Studio, before it was Clip Studio Paint, I'm pretty sure they didn't have this sort of 3D tools integrated. And I'm pretty sure it didn't do animation either. So the software has definitely evolved a bit and gained a lot more features. But should be useful. I can apply it to stuff in the future. But once again, thanks for hanging out. I will catch you guys later in the week for the next stream. So have yourselves a good evening.